and welcome to the Raw Preview. We are the Dadley Boyz of WhatCulture. I'm Adam Wilborn, joined by Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick, here to look ahead to tonight's episode of And Now Raw. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube, where we not only review Raw, but also SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. AW Dynamite, AW Collision, pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a round of the week complete with a very good quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, though, joined by Hamflett and Sidgwick to look ahead to Raw tonight and the go-home show ahead of Saturday night's main event.
It's a bizarrely brilliant time of year to be talking about good WWE. Unfamiliar to be praising this company while you're in a Christmas jumper.
Yeah.
Last week's Raw peaked Raw of the Year quality, you know. I think like it's cool to obviously preview the stuff that's on the show and all of that, but often fallout or go home, it's shortcut stuff. You know what you're doing, see your bullet points and that. No, enormous fallout to address on tonight's Raw, and like not anything that's going to have huge implications on Saturday night's main event, but Saturday night's main event itself feels huge. So Raw as a run up to it does too.
Raw was really good last week. I'm into a quarter of Saturday night's main event.
Yes.
But that's all right with me.
Not bad.
It's joint most anticipated match of the year alongside Ospreay and Darby. One, I'm anticipating C2 ramifications, match quality, realistically. This one, proper emotional investment. One of the few times wrestling has really got me in the build this year. It's on SmackDown. So, tonight's Raw's probably not going to do anything about that.
Well, one thing you really liked, obviously, it's weird normally to be on the precipice of a PLE and saying, yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. But the one thing I know you both adored last week was, of course, the New Day, the 10-year celebration thing. And I'm arguably more looking forward to that than them setting up Saturday.
Well, that's what an angle as effective as last week's should do, ultimately. Obviously, you're left sort of like dealing with and thinking about the ramifications of it. Tag team splits in general became... I mentioned the barbershop last week because it did inadvertently create this expectation that's so rarely met about tag teams splitting up. Not just that at least one of them can go on to have this amazing career, but that the moment itself is this instant bit of history, ultimately. You know, for one, like tag teams just weren't that well built for decades, so that you didn't have many rockers to split up, let alone settings like the barbershop setting where the violence and stuff means something. But this is what an angle like last week should be making you feel. And yeah, there's things like how a New Day match will feel different and how they might look different, like the aesthetics of the New Day and the vibe of the New Day being completely drained out of Kofi and Woods as it was in that moment they did that sort of like handshake effectively over the old New Day's corpse, you know, as whatever this. I think they might stay as the New Day, but obviously the new Day, how that sort of goes from here is what the sort of the next captivating step is. I do wonder if Triple H is stingy in his way about certain things, and I do wonder if this week it'll be more like aftermath stuff rather than full reveal of the ramifications. It's fine, you can take your time with stuff. A little bit of maybe some post-match comments, something like an interviewer catching them as they were leaving together last week that we haven't seen yet. They kept that off Twitter. Often they do a lot of social media stuff. There's been nothing outside of like Kofi and Woods doing a little bit of tweeting to say, I stand by my decision, and Big E's girlfriend going in two-footed on them for a good bit of patter. It's otherwise been sort of kept as believable as it possibly can do. Maybe it's that this week. Maybe they're kind of low on new stuff and it's more a reaction and response. I'll tell you what I would like, and I don't think it's unrealistic in 2024 WWE, is maybe other wrestlers mentioning it in their promos and reacting to it. This world is way more bonded than it used to be. We talked at length about how effective that was in that like Punk, Seth, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn first half an hour of Raw. Other wrestlers kind of like, even in just passing, like Karrion Kross has fun with it, but passing comments on how this has kind of shaken up their workplace. It's enormous. It is an earthquake in terms of WWE, and how like, oh, well, we saw what happened with Kofi and Woods. We don't want that to happen to us if you're a tag team. Or, you know, like, it's last week was proof that like anything, you always have to watch your back, because look what can happen, let alone your back. Somebody can stab you in the front that you thought you never would. Really, really sell the gravity of it beyond just being a storyline that sort of exists within itself. It's all part of the world of Raw or SmackDown or whatever being as welcoming as it is if you're into it.
Yeah, here's an idea. I don't really have any thoughts on what they would do. I expected very little, frankly, and it's fine because the trust that Levesque has built in the creative process is that they can do not a great deal for a while, and you still expect them to nail it whenever like the storyline peaks over the months to come. As if you recall, if you're wondering where this wonderful mug came from, if you can get one yourself, shop.whatculture.com. Is that correct?
I think it's whatculture.com/shop.
Well,
I think we switched it up.
We switched it up. Here's something that's indicative of our tastes. Because these guys follow and prefer the Fed,
I thought this as well. I thought exactly
they
this.
have to have the explanation for what the logo is on their cups. If you're more understated and don't need things just blasted you in the face,
I didn't think of this.
and you've got the more understated design like myself.
I like that on a t-shirt and I like this on a mug. I think there's a place.
Yeah.
That's
Either is available to you right now on one of those two URLs.
Or a hoodie or a hat. And if you use code WrestleCulture, you get 10% off as well. So do check that out, whatculture.com/shop.
Yes. If you recall, the big something's got to change, we are lower than we've ever been moment was Woods and Kofi. Before they did the heel thing of deflecting the blame and projecting their failures onto someone else, and to underscore that times have changed, it wasn't each and every one of you. It was Big E, who the ultimate babyface that they can get heat on the back of. They lost to Otis and Akira Tozawa in what, less than 3 minutes.
Yeah. Short order.
Fewer than 3 minutes, short order. What if the man to have a real problem with the betrayal is Otis? Mm-hmm. And he can go up to them backstage, have to get held back by security or whatever, and then to underscore that for a while they have made the correct decision and they are going to be a push commodity. They subvert that result, their lowest ebb, defeat Otis and Tozawa this week or next. Next week for me. Mm-hmm. I don't like an impromptu match. Everyone knows this. And it's like, oh, Christ, I know they mean business. Maybe they were onto something. They should all blow up in their faces and they should reunite with Big E at some point. But you have to push them for a while first. They're a hot act with a ton of momentum following last week. So that would be their first crisis is working. They've made the right decision. They're going to win the tag team titles and the way to bond that world. And Otis and Big E have got, similar frames and one could be an avatar for the other,
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the tag titles, actually, that's interesting because I forgot about the bit last week where Postman Pierce was basically like, yeah, you've got your title shot at Saturday night's main event fitting, but next week we're going to be talking about your other title match. Some people I've seen indicating that's going to happen tonight. I think it's just clarification, but it's not the New Days that immediately challenges the Judgment Day. That'd be too muddied in terms of...
Yeah, it's like... You want to get the belts on the New Day.
I want to hate the New Day. That would be impossible if they're wrestling JD McDonough.
You can't, it's been such a line in the sand of what the Judgment Day was. Post Bash at Berlin, I'll say, the peak of that kind of story and the breakup and everything. And they're tag champions and they've tried to hang a lantern on it and say, it's funny that we never defend the belt. It's not. It's lazy and it's not that creative. And we've joked about it recently, but there's a lot of I got a master plan. Deck him after the bell. Ooh, Finn Balor's very funny in the role, and he's worked his way into quite a nice little mini program with Gunther for the Saturday night's main event title match. But the belts and the division has felt like second class realistically since this Judgment Day split. So get them onto some effective baby faces.
Like who?
Well, I was thinking about this. When does this transfer window thing open?
It might help.
You heard about this? They talked about it on SmackDown. Transfer window's going to
open. I watched SmackDown.
People are going to be jumping all over the shows. He was talking about the KO segment earlier.
That's terrific, wasn't it?
On the Collision review.
In the ring, yes. I thought the interaction between Kevin Owens and Michael Cole was a little bit too funny. A little bit too funny, like rolling up the window.
There was a tight 5, I called it, from Kevin Owens. He got pops in the building like he was delivering material.
Too funny.
You see, I even said on the pod, I was like, sometimes I disagree with this funny ain't money thing, and I think there's very few that master it, and Owens is one of those.
I just think in the context of this storyline, I don't want to. I want to feel unsettled when Owens is on screen. You know, I want him. I didn't add time and a place for me. Okay. He's in a vacuum, tremendously entertaining, but I don't want this version of Kevin Owens to be too funny yet. Maybe, you know, if he wins the title and he should be a psychopath for me.
He's a good. I think he's like a real good like switch flicker, Kevin Owens, as well, because that main event segment where he beats him down, you almost can't believe these things have happened on the same night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know, like you can't do it with everybody though. I'll tell you that, but yeah, I couldn't get enough.
He was really funny.
I'd have had another few minutes of the two of them. I'm looking. It's a handsome man. What does it prove? That's unbelievable.
It was. It was.
Get out of my rented car.
Too funny.
Yeah.
So in terms of, I'm looking across the Raw roster. So my thought process was a big money signing from Postman Pierce straight out the gate, which could be awesome if it's someone like the Motor City Machine Guns who've just lost their titles on SmackDown, but wouldn't make any sense because why would he say last week, well, I've got someone to face you. They're already the champions on the other brand. It wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, but, you know, it's wrestling. It's stupid.
Transfer windows, like, we know what's happening here. Like, Netflix is going to be this enormous launch for Raw.
Ray and Dragon Lee?
Yeah, like...
I was thinking Jey Uso and Sami Zayn.
I thought Jey Uso and Sami Zayn last week, if only because I think that'd be the most interesting transition to the New Day. I think, like, Uso involvement in the New Day is big. Really big.
Jey Uso should have a problem.
Yeah,
and then Xavier Woods can say, you? Talking about betrayal? Talking about ethics? Are you joking?
Yeah.
And then you get that constant reminder that everything, like Roman Reigns is like the narrative fulcrum.
We showed you what family actually was, even though we weren't related or like this. Yeah, Jey Uso should be kind of devastated by what he's seen because of the shared experience of what they all went through.
Like Ray and Dragon Laser's pitch.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, just as transitional type.
Yeah. And it's just... it's not going to be a match this week, is it?
I don't think so. It's not like announced. It's
if he can help it, he won't book a match, Levesque, and guess what? That's how he wins.
Only got a few more weeks of 2-hour Raws to enjoy, allegedly. Anyway,
it'll go back to 3, definitely. But it will be.
It's going back to 3 reportedly, isn't it?
It'll be. And it'll be
4 for me.
Do you imagine? What if NXT went 4 hours?
Oh my God.
Don't stop you should not have an erection for that long. So, doctors told me that.
Why did you have one and they said, don't do that again? What made you have that erection for 4 hours? Did you watch NXT twice?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I watched it on half speed.
Half speed deadline. What are the Iron Survivors an hour?
Oh my God.
This price is still fast as
No, they're going to... it could be somebody on SmackDown. It could be, it's not going to be Fraxium, but like hypothetically, if it was like Fraxium...
Oh my God.
He's already got an erection. He's bringing more NXT acts in.
Double strap Fraxium while they're as hot and over as they are.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Gallus.
Oh, thank God. It's gone forever.
WWE just... It's like sledgehammer subtlety when they're telling you that a show matters. It's like, the transfer window's opened, and it appears as if Raw's signed Cody Rhodes, and John Cena's going to wrestle there, and it's like Raw, Netflix, Raw.
I'm going to clarify something.
Normally,
I just keep looking at this cup, and I think what a triumphant design that is. I was going to make sure the URL is correct. Keep talking. I probably won't listen.
Often we say we're not fans of Raw speeches, but I'm really looking forward to
like Raw speeches.
January 6th.
Don't you?
Yeah, he's a real piece of garbage. He's setting up his own bit, grinning all the way through. We don't do bits.
We don't do bits. That's official. But yeah, I think there's enough stuff. There's a lot of stuff on this show.
WhatCulture.com/shop.
There we go. Some lovely stuff.
It's a gorgeous site as well.
The hoodie. Phil was wearing the hoodie on Friday.
Yeah, it looks
embroidery.
fantastic.
Oh, lovely stuff.
As we've said, we have peddled some garbage in the past. This is not that. This is not that. Very, very proud of all of this. Looks great.
Right, turning our attention to, tonight for Saturday night. Any more with the 2 title matches? Obviously, we've got Gunther versus Finn Balor. Mm-hmm. Gunther, who made an appearance on SmackDown, of course. And Liv Morgan versus Io Sky. Doesn't really
you have to have the text on the cup. That's okay. It's a prototype.
No, you can get that one as well.
It's not on the site.
Is it not?
No.
We need to flag that up because it should be. And there's the purple and yellow like main channel logos as well.
Oh.
So there should be multiple cups. The Gunther thing.
Maybe on the mobile site, because I'm looking now at Wilborn's site. This is the worst sales pitch of all time. You
on
can
there?
get the cup.
Yeah.
Even, and you get the wrestling logo or our logo, obviously. They do look lovely. Hat's nice. The caps are good. I'm not even a hat guy. And a little game to... Hang on.
It's time to play the game! Time to play the game!
Whose wrist is it wearing the WhatCulture Wrestling wristband? See if you can crack the code on that one now.
Probably should have got somebody else.
That's a nice wrist. Ugh.
Yeah, but like it's plain your wrist.
They move for the colours to like pop off.
I think the whitest arm you can find.
Said you a Rolling Stones guy?
Not particularly.
Me neither.
I like about 5 of their songs.
I wouldn't even know anything beyond the hits to
Pleased
guess
to meet you. Hope you guess my name.
Well, I don't like Sympathy for the Devil that much.
No, me neither.
I like Gimme Shelter.
Satisfaction?
This is why I bring this up.
I don't really like the Stones. I like Gimme Shelter.
I don't like the Stones either. Yeah. I don't. It's not that Beatles Stones nonsense. You can like whatever you like. They've never really been for me. Rolling Stones.
Want you to take away. Is that them from The Sopranos? We live
Possibly.
Through and Through. I don't think that's the Rolling Stones.
I don't know.
Rolling Stones Through and Through. There's a song called Through and Through that was played on The Sopranos, and it's absolutely amazing.
Do you want to tell him what you were singing at me this morning while I was
It's Rolling Stones.
Rolling Stones. That song's great.
I can't remember how I laid it out.
I think you just made it work, mate.
I love me some Friday Night Smackdown.
It went right the way through to a chorus, didn't it? Mm-hmm. I can't get enough.
That was it.
Friday Night Smackdown. He was just doing that Mick Jagger walk across the studio. Just singing that at me. I walked in.
After a good one.
They're always good, but like after I walked in the studio, as I was walking in the studio, that was just...
Why?
I don't know. You just...
Wasn't even like, because if it had been Pink Floyd, that makes sense, because the wall fell over earlier.
Yeah, well...
I'd warned him, don't worry. But I had to warn him before collision in case he was attacked by it.
Multiple bricks.
It's a war, brother. What are we talking about?
Saturday night's main event.
Gunther has sort of kind of turned babyface in these last 2 programs. It's not a permanent thing, I don't think. But situational babyface for Finn Balor, certainly. And it's good. It's funny. Like, the interactions are believable because Finn's just clearly really enjoys being a little rat. And Gunther's credible. Even when he's a heel, he's super credible. The chemistry is great for this. I have very, very...
That a 3-star gentleman's 3 on Raw the other month.
Leveled
How do you
off-
have a gentleman's 3 with Gunther?
Yeah, leveled off expectations of the match because I just don't think Finn's got a good one in him. I see this stuff. I like Finn Balor going, I see this stuff about like getting his opportunity in matches, and it's all bollocks.
When was
It's
his
just-
last good singles match?
It's just stuff people say, and that's fine as well, by the way. Finn Balor has gotten over, in multiple roles, I should say, in multiple eras of WWE. The Demon got over, and then it died hilariously. But like, it got over first, and then this Finn Balor got over as a heel, and like the Judgment Day.
He's only been all the way over twice, IMO.
Maybe so, but like...
Judgment Day Finn, all the way over.
Yeah.
NXT Finn, all the way over. Not as good as a Horsewoman.
Yeah, but a hell of a run, all things considered.
Yeah, I reckon it's a pretty good run, and that's it.
But
Years in the abyss.
and I think that's his level. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like Finn Balor,
He had some good matches in NXT, but who could possibly care?
like he doesn't have the matches on the WWE roster. He really doesn't. If you like, and I don't think this is. I'm not trying to frame this as some sort of like hot take. It's just I see he's like 40 plus, and that's fine as well. But his TV age is pretty old at this point as a character because he's came up to the main roster in 2016. Like, it's fine. Finn Balor has had like a nice run for what appears to be a very nice man having a nice time. That's what it
He's
is.
a locker room
Nice
leader
money.
now, apparently.
Making nice money. Yeah, with that experience comes that, and he had plenty before he arrived in WWE. Just something nice from a business that isn't always very nice. That's cool. But
That's cool.
It's cool. I just feel like the rest of it is being overstated. He will lose this match. It won't be one of the more memorable Gunther matches, I don't think. And then into Rumble season and figuring out who Gunther's WrestleMania opponent might
It's
be
odd, this.
if he makes it there, or what's next for Gunther?
I can't see this going well. You've got situational babyface is the bigger dude in this match. I don't get how it can be good. I think it's all flawed dynamics wise. And Finn's recent form isn't great. Yeah, can't be asked.
It's a bit of a WWE thing, that, isn't it? When I think about it, like Shawn as a heel would be like what Finn Balor is going to attempt to be. Like he would fight bigger babyface wrestlers.
Yeah,
and
96 Shawn's.
we're talking about one of the best wrestlers of all time, but like
It was era.
and of all time. However, like in the original run, anyway, I'm not going about for Jesus, Shawn, Jesus Christ, but like they've done that in the past, which does go against type for wrestling.
Yeah. Just he hasn't got Finn's just not got anything in the ring realistically anymore. Tell you what, it goes against the convention of Saturday night's main event, but if he can have the backdrop of this apparently retro tinged like set and ringside environment, and this match happens first, I'll be like, ooh, look at all this.
That's the noise.
Yeah.
It's going to be blue, isn't it? It's going to be really blue.
Oh my God, if it's proper azure blue all the way around. I want to see that kind of gloss.
Mess.
You know, when he can like, you know, on the ring skirts, when like, they won't do this because when you could see like the light reflected on all those, like that dimply blue ring skirt.
Leathery almost, but not quite shiny.
Yeah,
like a matte
yeah,
pleather
yeah,
effect.
yeah.
That's the stuff.
Speaking of SNME,
It's time to play the game! Time to play the game! Ha 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 ha!
Adam's Saturday night main event quiz. I think I already asked you this on the SmackDown preview.
Okay.
Michael Sidgwick, prior to
Oh, yeah.
SNME 37? Yeah. What was the last main event on Saturday night's main event? And can you name any of the people on that card? It was July 28th, 2008.
Ooh, was it Triple H, Randy Orton, or John Cena by any chance?
No, dear, that's wrong.
What?
I can tell you one of those people was on this card, but not in the main event.
2008. What's going on? John Cena, Triple H, Randy Orton. That's what's going on. Where's the lie? What's going on? It's all very raw. What's going on? Edge. Bingo! Versus The Undertaker?
No, dear, that's wrong.
Batista?
No, dear, that's wrong.
Although he was on the card.
Jeff Hardy?
Yes, Edge
Stacked.
versus
Right,
Jeff
that
Hardy.
roster. I just thought of that.
What's there?
You know, just going through all those names and what was going on in 2008. That roster was stacked.
Have you seen this picture of the roster?
Imagine them in a locker room.
Yeah, that card was the dark
Rather
match.
not.
Dark match was, hang on, I need this button. Paul London
Oh my God.
versus Charlie Haas. And then the main card, just a 1 hour thing on NBC,
Yeah, it was on the out.
was John Cena, Batista, and Crime Time versus JBL, Kane, and The Legacy. Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase.
God, I was well at my ROH at this point.
That's JBL is poopy law attached to that.
Well in
Oh
my
my
ring.
God.
At
Oh,
this
sorry,
point.
yeah.
I needed something more credible than this. That's why I went for TNA.
And sorry, that's the 2 pieces of bread, Sige. Obviously, as I said, that's the opener and the main event. But you got to cram it. There's another match shoved right in the middle. It was sort of a big kind of blow off to a sort of a legacy feud from 2008. It was the Great Khali versus Jimmy Wang Yang. So who could forget that 90-second match?
If Greg Khali defeated Jimmy Wang Yang, he could go on to win his next match.
I thought I was a great Khali guy. Really, Great Khali did it for me. I was like, WWE was so pinished. Just, well, he's massive, isn't he? He beat the Undertaker with a foot on his chest. I'm like, yeah. This is real.
I'm the great Khali. Yeah. I love WWE. I know that's Kozlov, but, both bullshit.
I forgot.
Bullshitters can be in the same song.
You take Carly over Kozlov
any day of the week.
Twice on Sunday. Remember, like, Kozlov got that, like, silent entrance
8 days a week. I love WWE.
Fed.
You want Kozlov now, though, don't you?
I did that on a podcast recently, Just riffing 8 days a week about loving the Fed. I can't remember what it was for, but that's swung to mind there.
One day of the year.
Either.
You want him now, though, don't you? You want Kozlov now. Seen the latest?
Oh, my God.
Oleg Prudius.
No, mate.
That's what
He was an impact, wasn't he?
That's what Josh Barnett sees when he looks in the mirror, doesn't he? Yeah, he did a bit with Santino, didn't he, when they came back together? No one cared.
No one gave a damn.
Had that entrance, didn't he, with the spotlight? That was a bit like, oh, that's different. That lasted a few weeks. Has he got any moves? Not a one. Any promos? Nope.
Trips dragged him to a great match, though, didn't he?
Ugh. All-timer Turcarino. Him and Triple H.
Where were you in your life at this point?
Pretty sad. The Fed was this. I'd been made redundant from my first post-uni job at Northern Rock, and in a panic, because I had a mortgage,
I wanted to know, dear, but I haven't got it on the board yet.
stayed in IT, where I briefly worked in a job that made the software that would your job in this and sliding doors moments. Yeah, I was pretty sad. This was very much the and I understand this to be relatable because I read a tweet and then we all talked about this. And if you're going through this, you have my sympathy and it will get better. Was in that, what if a slow moving car knocked me down and I was fine, but maybe a broken leg? And that's not a healthy way to live, but that's the life I was living. Walk into work or walk into the metro, whatever it was.
He wasn't my car.
I've been there. It's a really sad mental state to be in. You normalize it as well.
Yeah.
Only when you're not in it, you realize there's no way to go on. But basically, Kozlov, Triple H, if your life was better, would you have sacked it off and thought, I don't need this in my life anymore?
Yeah, maybe. Like,
Well, is that
2008. I was really into TNA. Like, what's happening for you?
He was in the prime of his life. That's
I
what
was
was
at uni.
happening to him.
I was in my 20s. I was at uni now.
First year? 2008?
2008 would be technically, No, I'd be 19 turning 20 in 2008, so end of second year.
Does it get better than second year?
I don't think it does. And like, I'm 2 years.
Third year was even because I moved to Leamington.
Second year was better because you bedded in. You've got rid of those. I have to talk to you because you're in my whole sort of like weird friendships that you kind of have to be nice about. You've got your friendship group. You got full another year after this.
Mm-hmm. That's what it is. There's still so much of it left.
Yeah.
Christmas at the end of your Christmas of your first year through to Christmas of your third year is the real sweet spot. Because coming back after Christmas in your third year, you're like, the home straight, and I should really get working on the dissertation I was supposed to start back in September. And like, it does, those first few months are a weird, it's cool, but it's a weird settling in thing, isn't it?
Is it,
finding
Sige?
That's cool. That was September to June, second year. Yeah.
I was 2 years post-uni as well, and that is a real kick in the yes. Because it's just, some of life's good, some of life's not so good, and it's just, you're very...
There ain't no going back.
There ain't no going back. And you're just wishing that you'd done a master's in something you didn't care about just to get a little morsel. Just a little bit more.
Taste.
How long was your dissertation?
10,000 words total.
Yeah, we had to do like a short story cum novella.
Series of articles centered around one theme for a local newspaper, like a week of features. It was with like interviews with, like, I had to interview, I've told this story before, don't do this. Had to like interview people and then like giving you contacts lists of the people you've interviewed so that they could like check that the person you've interviewed is legit. Phone numbers, email addresses, the whole deal. I had 10 mates on call to pretend to be the people I said they were in my articles when I hadn't done enough interviews.
This is Steve from the Dog and Duck. Yeah,
exactly that. I'd gathered my my various quotes and interviews, and I was like, "Oh, I'm about 10 people short." So various friends were given a pint in exchange for answering the call over, like, until I got my mark.
Don't admit that.
Don't do that.
Don't admit that.
You make work for yourself.
I know, innit? Like 20, 30 years gone. It's fine. It's like statute of limitation stuff.
That's what I'm hoping.
Liv Morgan is also in a title match on Saturday. Not in action tonight, but her heavy is Raquel Rodriguez against... Sorry, Sidge, this is not me, this is them.
I know.
Versus Rhea Ripley.
Yep, Turcarino. This is a conditional Turcarino until I see otherwise, based on a very recent precedent. Yeah. They've had one good match. Everyone's like, one good thing in life. You know?
Oh, yeah, I can't argue it.
They've had one good match and everything else has been absolute Turcarino City. Raquel Rodriguez... Jesus Christ. Can I get around the kitchen on Christmas Day? Because she specialises in Turcarinos. Correct? I mean, where's the lie?
They need to... Sorry.
God, I think she's got so much experience in Turcarinos now that that's going to be a moist bird. It's going to make a great gravy. Bountiful feast for all the family to enjoy. That's how adept she is at the old Turcarino.
Cooked a roast at the weekend as a practice Christmas Day and sent my picture to Sidgwick for a slither of approval. And I got it!
Good.
So...
I haven't seen this yet, so your thoughts?
Thoughts were, I was proud of him for the gravy. I was a little bit too scared of gravy until, I just basically copied my wife's recipe and what she did with it. He needed those, I could tell on sight that I correctly predicted that you dipped below the optimum
impressive
oven temperature for his roast potatoes.
I was going to say potatoes.
I was following like an instruction
potato
on
king, aren't you?
A thing I'd found, and it was
you should have followed this instruction.
180, I think it was, and you're like,
no, 200.
This ain't darts,
you need
cooking.
You need 200. You need 200.
So I'm going to try that on Christmas Day, I guess. But otherwise...
Guess.
See how that goes.
Good luck, kids.
How many are you cooking for?
It's just
the flour.
Just as four,
just
I think.
The flour.
Yeah, might end up having my folks over, which is 6.
You doing a turkey or a chicken?
Chicken. Had a chicken at the weekend. It was great. So, I know you've said turkey can be good.
I wouldn't bother with too much seasoning either, man. When you have potatoes.
No.
Maybe a bit of garlic in the last 10 minutes and some rosemary.
That was exactly what I used. Garlic and rosemary, but there was just
last
too
10
much
minutes
overcompensated.
At the start. On the flip.
No, parboiled in the bowl, mixed them in with the seasoning there, and then in a bowl with the oil, and then on a very heavily oiled oven tray. Because I remember you'd said that about the.
I would add the herbs and the herbs a little bit later. That last 10 minutes.
Really?
Otherwise, you want a bit of potato as well, mate.
That was a legitimate complaint. Not a complaint, that's unfair on my family. That was a legitimate remark made. Like these kind of almost stuffing boiled potatoes there. Like, that's fair, actually. Yeah. And there was a little heavy on the seasoning.
It's good to me.
Happy with it, though.
Oh, imagine that at Christmas dinner. Both of you. I thought you mean for advice. I thought you meant come to yours for Christmas dinner. Just come to me.
No. I don't.
Otherwise,
I don't want to see on Christmas.
Otherwise, and kids can have their Christmas dinners all together, and we'll just have ours. We'll have like 3-way Skype call, biscuits on the toilet at 4 p.m. How's it going? It's going.
Nearly there.
I'll say nothing.
Rhea to
I
win.
love Christmas.
I hate it. Never used to. They need to beat the out of each other. It's the only way. Like, willfully go to hurt each other, apologise afterwards for the potatoes, the whole deal, like I just did. That was the route, like, the core of what made that match good in NXT, because those are, like, Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez are those kinds of wrestlers, and especially in the case of Raquel Rodriguez, you don't see enough of that. And when it comes to Rhea
I haven't
Ripley...
seen anything for, like, 3 years.
When it comes to Rhea Ripley, who Triple H uses sparingly as a wrestler, the best matches are when she has ones like that. Like, everyone's thinking Charlotte Flair when you think like Rhea Ripley's best match of all time at WrestleMania. And they've had other good ones similar to that. The layout is like strikingly simple with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. When they have good matches together, they just batter each other. It's really bold stuff because you can't... with
Charlotte Flair's dynamic, though.
She is. Rhea Ripley's quite sort of brave to give away a lot of herself in those matches, but the payoff's always worth it. She looks like she survived a war. It is okay sometimes for somebody that looks like the kind of the monster atop the mountain to like suffer a bit to only like sort of further establish them. They can do something here, but I'm kind of with Sid.
She should want to beat the crap out of her. She tried to blind her last week. Eye patch, by the way. Patch.
I mean, that's a hat on top of a hat, mate. She's already got a mask.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but one like Ray's mask when his eye fell out for a bit when one of the sides is covered.
Maybe, yeah. Look, you're going to come up to me for comment tomorrow. I'm probably going to say gobble, gobble.
Well, it's going to be just me and you tomorrow.
Reno.
So,
What What are you doing another day off, is it?
Yes, Sage, it's another day off. My son's got a Christmas play in the morning and he's taking up a frigging brass instrument this term, so I've got to see a musical performance in the afternoon.
What does he?
Second performance. He's
Which
all
one?
right. He's all
Older,
right.
youngest?
Youngest. Yeah.
What does he play?
Trumpet.
Any good? Does he do it in the house?
No, because it's a rental thing through the school.
Oh, right.
So it sends him to the garage.
We're seeing how it goes. As if he sticks, it's one of the things. If he sticks with it through the school rental thing, then maybe we'll sort of not buy one, but indulge it a little more. But you know what kids are like; they kind of like sail through the hobbies trying to find what fits in that. While we're taking the piss on my life, got another day off on Thursday. Won't even get to talk Dynamite because I got kids at different schools now, so different days.
I'm off on Thursday afternoon.
It's me then.
Yeah.
No,
We'll do Dynamite.
yeah, I'm not watching it for nothing. I'm watching it for pleasure.
Also on tonight's Raw.
It's Christmas stuff for kids, isn't it?
It's just you've always got stuff on. Like the calendar, you go
What
over
about the rest of the year, mate?
Don't know if you have this. Any of you, you'll have this more and more the older it gets. You'll be in this. Like too many of your chats with your better half are just reduced to like admin, aren't they? Gets to the night time and there's this to catch up on from the day as well as the stuff.
Do it on your phone. Then you can just watch telly.
Well, yeah, I know. I find it like nicer to do it that way rather than just like, because stuff just gets lost in text messages as well. And then it's like one of you forgets something or whatever.
Memory, mate.
Just
scroll.
There's always something. There's like a little.
I'll
like
take the piss. I always forget as well.
There's a little bear trap.
I messaged you about this yesterday. So I'm like, well,
Which one?
So yeah, there's always a bear trap over Christmas. There's always something that you're like,
Yeah.
oh God, that's tomorrow. It's not even, oh, we got a thing in a few weeks. It might be a bit stressful or you need to buy something or get something prepped for it, but it's always oh, that's tomorrow. Like awful feeling.
I'll bet you're like me, and you're in a inverse way a bit like this. So my brain's already going to, we have like a shared calendar thing on Google or whatever.
I just need to get on this.
It's really good. It's really useful because it used to be like, oh, we'll write it in the, right, well, someone will ask us when we're like away somewhere, but I don't know, I have to go and check and I'll forget.
And it's on you, that, and it's on me. I must be hell to live with.
And it's like, I've got things already in my mind for next year. It's like, oh, my mate's 40th. We're all in our 30s for now. It's my mate's 40th next year in March. So I was like, that weekend's, boom, that's straight out.
Next year, man.
You know, maybe some trips, I don't know, to, say off the top of my head, a place, Las Vegas or something. Like those dates are like in my head too. But the only other dates, aside from like her birthday, Eric's birthday, that immediately come into my head if someone said, what are you doing this such and such weekend? Aside from maybe like, you know, the January 25th weekend or something, I might have something planned for then. But
Such a good logo, isn't it? Sorry, go on.
Lovely.
But if someone now goes, what are you doing on February 1st? Weekend of February, 1st of February. What are you doing on the weekend of the 1st? Your brain, the only thing it stores is
Royal Rumble.
Yeah. It's like, right, Revolution's this date. Rumble.
Yeah.
Elimination Chamber. That's the only, I can't help with anything else. And Lucy will be like, don't you forget, that's Mum and Dad's wedding anniversary. It's not the Rumble, is it? We all remember the
John
Rumble.
Cena's working his last elimination chamber. So catch up.
Wasn't Remember the Rumble of tagline?
It was when we were back at the Alamo.
Remember the Rumble. Did Wilborn come up with that?
It was on the 10th of May, so no.
And the Alamo was so big, that was when the big lads had to come down. Beep, beep, on the,
Yeah.
there he is on the ramp. When's he getting to the fucking ring?
Yeah. Where's he gone?
Stadium Rumble suck, yes.
That one was good. 2017. Remember when they babyfaced like Randy Orton of all people? Because it's like, oh, thank God it's not Roman.
The lesser-
Randy Orton. The next night, Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lesser of two evils.
Biggest pop of his career.
Uh,
That's the that's one of your favourites, isn't it? Wasn't there like a guy that went viral because Roman had lost the title match that night and came out at number 30?
Yeah, I love those compilations. Right, it's like I think it was like Finn and Joe, weren't they?
You're Roman's one of Roman's biggest fans, so you're allowed to laugh because
Yes.
people should be less insane about this.
But it was, I think people thought it was going to be Finn Balor or Samoa Joe or something like that.
WWE were
wasn't
like specialised in like, you know, the punk thing that we were like, our one went a bit viral. They made a clip of the people who were, like, WWE specialised in the reverse punk for years, and there was like, what would piss them off the f***ing most to the point where they're going to look miserable and everyone's going to laugh? They're going to laugh in their faces on the internet. Like, there's a compilation of people being pissed off at our biggest star work in the main event.
Like I saw ones recently where it's like, someone filmed
Shouldn't
himself.
exist anymore, man.
Someone filmed himself at the end of Survivor Series, just like, yay for the baby faces in the ring.
Yeah.
That, and you see him and you just go, like it's like his brain turns off. He's just like, what?
Yeah.
This one, the guy's like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to film the exact same thing. 3, 2, 1. You hear people going, Finn, it's going to be Finn. It's going to show around you. There, and he goes. Just to see the life drain out of his face. But you left. You're lost. Commentary man go, yeah, bloody Roman's back. We thought he was out of the title picture for 10 seconds.
Now he's got the easiest route to it on a bigger show.
It's like such a weird, like something like it's not triumphant, is it?
Like now.
I love it as a Shield thing. I never liked it for him.
It'll be the first time he gets a genuine good pop in a Royal Rumble match since about 2014.
And he took 10 years.
Yeah.
Is that going to? Yeah, it's got to be.
It's like everything, isn't it? Like when he came back in the summer, it's like, well, they've done it. Roman Reigns is an over babyface. Poof, like that. Like historic run as a heel, as if by magic. Yeah.
But tonight they're at the Intrust Bank Arena.
Or as you like to call it.
In Wichita, Kansas. That would be the Quim Thrust Wank Arena. That's top 5 straight away.
It's always the extra swear that does it for me. Like in thrust would probably be enough.
In thrust, yeah.
That would be fine.
No, Quim Thrust Wank Arena.
My all-time favourite isn't the lick your ass, It's because he did the little sound effect of what it would sound like if an eagle was masturbating.
What arena?
Because it was the Eagle Bank Arena.
Yeah.
More like the...
Eagle Wank Arena. That was it.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, I'm sorry, kids.
Oh, God.
Yes, and also on tonight.
You did it with more gusto the first time.
Yeah, well, I save it for when they're back there. But tonight, the women's IC title tournament continues.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dakota Kai qualified last week. On the other side of the brackets now. So you got Dakota Kai through there. She'll face the winner of Zoe Stark, Raquel Rodriguez, and Caden Carter.
Oy.
That is a Michael Sidgwick tie if I ever saw one. They've also got Alba Fire, Kairi Sane, Natalia. But tonight is...
Who was in that last one you just said, Natalia?
Kairi Sane and Alba Fire.
Christ.
Would you rather watch that or Zoe Stark, Raquel, and Caden Carter?
I'd rather watch nothing.
You have to watch one of them.
I don't have to do anything.
Switch the telly.
I have to watch both.
I'll review the blank screen.
Well, I thought that should be Natalia's nickname, shouldn't it? The blank screen. You tell me what she's done on screen that you'd remember, doesn't a sharpshooter? Come on, tell me.
And not very well. Lara Valkyria.
Gets in and taking the ribs.
Lara Valkyria, Zelina Vega, and Ivy Nile tonight. Because 2 of our picks, that.
Bit of potential, this one, hasn't it? Yeah, a little bit. I felt a bit sorry for Lara Valkyria because it did feel like post Queen of the Ring, something happened. Like creatively, they just lost interest in her.
She was squashed.
But the finish was tremendous.
But she physically
I know she physically got squashed. Good tournament run.
Yeah.
Proper put over Nia Jax, which considering she'd been like on Raw for all of 3 or 4 months, that's quite impressive that she'd built up enough about her, and there was a sense that there was like something lingering in the background with Becky Lynch that you could revisit one day. So she's getting somewhere here.
Hi,
It took her a second. I was doing the Lara Valkyria to Becky Lynch face. You see that? Very good, Lyra.
Yeah, not with that. God, not with that. And then it just stopped. It's indicative of like Triple H kind of like having a bit of this nonchalant attitude towards the women's division. And like, as we talked about, the tournaments are shortcuts. Even if you end up getting people over, you've done it sort of like the cheat code way. But I hope she wins the whole thing, to be honest. I think she's a good pick for a Triple H wanting a first-time champion to be credible, but also kind of showing that this is a place where you can, eventually you might have to lose a few at first, but you can sort of survive a bit of creative disinterest, and your wrestling can do some of the talking, and you can actually win things. You can, the example I would use from recent times would be the Kalani Jordan North American title win.
Yeah.
It is a bit of both. It is a bit of belt making the wrestler making the belt, but that's fine. Like, it's not the top title. They are telling you these are secondary titles, and if you look at what a great job he's done with the Intercontinental, lesser extent the US, but certainly the Intercontinental title in the men's division, that's been like impeccably re-established as the secondary goal. The one Jey Uso was able to win, the one that got Gunther ready, all that sort of stuff. That's the aim, theoretically, in the women's division. So I think she's like a perfect winner.
Who?
Lyra Valkyria.
Yeah, why not?
I'll make it interesting. I'll go Zelina Vega. Nothing against Lyra Valkyria. I'm just trying to make it interesting, basically.
Fair enough.
Their job, mate. Not.
You're dreading
Not
Natalia
yours.
advancing.
ABN, baby. Anyone but Natalia.
God.
Drew McIntyre's
baby.
That's what I've always said.
Drew McIntyre's back, of course.
Yes.
Will he have an impact on this show? Will he target Sami Zayn again?
He might do. I would like him to work smarter, not harder here, and try and get in the head of Seth Rollins. Establish their common...
Parallels were drawn between
Yeah.
them last week.
They've got, obviously, common interests, common rivals, all that sort of stuff. Really, at this point, like, Drew McIntyre is, like, he's going to pretend he's, like, over CM Punk and moving on, just like he pretended he was over Jey Uso and everything that turned him heel in the first place. But he's now, as a proper, lives in this heel persona, is kind of, like, infected with it, like, the sickness of being a bad guy.
Yeah.
And now we can use that to try and infect Seth Rollins as well, as saying, like, yeah, I could understand why you're tearing your hair out. I'm watching last week and I get it. I see what it is that you must be like, you felt like you wanted to knock out CM Punk every day. I did. And when I did, it felt amazing. Follow that feeling, like a little devil on Seth's shoulder while Sami Zayn is at odds with Seth,
like that.
while Jey Uso, the person that like kind of links back to where all this started, is like, he was the biggest dickhead to me and you weren't. And you can see the difference. Don't fall for this, that kind of thing, you know. Keeps in a sort of smaller way, in the way that we were talking about how Roman Reigns kind of sits atop, like if you were to draw like a family tree out, you could kind of link it, so much of it back to like this tribal chief Roman Reigns. A mini branch of that is Punk between Seth and Drew. We've got more in common than we have as enemies and that kind of thing. Like, I don't think Seth turns heel or anything, but I think that's a dynamic worth exploring with Drew.
I think eventually you may well do.
Turn?
Yeah. If they're going to do, like, say, Punk Seth
Yeah,
at
maybe.
Mania for the title, for example.
It's a big turn to do, because I think if he wanted to be, like, I know it's not necessarily very popular when you praise Seth Rollins, but he's kind of a forever babyface in WWE if he wants to be. Like, he's that kind of over that, like loud.
His song's over.
His song's over. Like,
Do you want to hear it?
do all sing
Every
that.
single week they sing that, man. That's got to count for something.
Like, audiences don't care that he stops selling halfway through. They buy him and they believe in him, and I think it's a bold heel turn in that respect, because it's not something like you even need to do. I suppose with Roman as a babyface, it makes sense to keep them on opposite sides, but we'll see, I guess. I kind of imagine they would go into Seth and Punk exactly as the dynamics are now, which is almost allowing, like, there's kind of rival chance for the two of them at the moment, and you could split the crowd in a way that doesn't risk either of them getting less over. You could have Seth fans and Punk fans, and they both just really, really don't like each other because the personalities are well established, and it's not about one cheating to beat the other one up. It's just this real, like, inherent dislike of one another. You could turn Seth heel. You absolutely could do that, yeah, but it wasn't really something I'd considered until last week with Drew.
You want to see from Drew now he's back. Kick more ass.
The Seth Rollins thing. It's interesting. They could have this storyline that could, depending on if Punk is, maybe he wants to be closer to the Cody Roman sphere than the Seth sphere, which would be a bit of wasted time, but they could do anything with Seth and Drew, really. They could even have another match at WrestleMania. I don't know. I'm not being funny, right? I like Drew a lot. aren't really sort of fantasy book his directions. He's not that kind of wrestler for me. Seth even less so. Short answer, I don't really care, but I trust him. It'll be all right. Whatever happens.
Interesting if
Que sera.
Drew's involved in like the transfer window stuff.
Yeah.
Just keeps killing people on Raw. They're like, I need to get him off the show.
That might not be the worst thing, as well, because is just...
He's had a lot of almost too much history with everyone on Raw.
Yeah.
Is there anything interesting? I'm trying to muster up. I forgot the wrestled at WrestleMania last year, him and Seth.
Yeah.
Him and Punk. Don't need to see that again. Punk and Sammy, Drew and Sammy. You'd rather see Sammy and KO. Punk, Drew. I don't know who's he got left.
Well, not that many, because his heel turn and everything about that did sort of swallow up everybody else on Raw at the time. But then again, they're going to move so many people over to Raw, you would think, for the third hour for the Netflix era. And
That's 3 hours on SmackDown, bro.
Maybe, yeah. But what I'm saying is maybe new people come in for Drew on Raw, but I could see him moving. I could see him being someone they could rely on to shift over there, because it's maybe Gunther might go as well. Like, it's a sort of less riskier proposition being a world champion lead in the USA shows. It is Netflix in terms of the stakes in WWE at the moment. So I could see Drew. Just to change the scenery and enough different wrestlers to fight with. You've got this character. I'm kind of the same message on Drew. I've loved what he's done since turning. Like, he's really, really clicked for me in a way he never did before. And yet he's just not one of them wrestlers I tend to think about until the story's already working. It's kind of like, I feel like he sort of has to prove himself for me over and over again. Like, if his next story doesn't feel as important as the Punk one, I'll be like, oh yeah, Drew's around doing his stuff. But this last year's been his best ever, so you kind of hope for him that they've got something good for him. In the 15 WrestleMania cards there are currently, until The Rock comes back and decides what he wants to do, I still think WWE think Punk and Seth is a strong night one main event.
Agree. Yeah.
But so much is down to what The Rock chooses to do. It feels like you're watching a company trying to keep as many things over in that same way. Like Owens and Zayn feels like another one that with a belt in it could main event night one. Cody versus anyone is a main event on either night, so is Roman. Like, all the options are good, but it's hard to nail down exactly what the cards look like because of the Agent of Chaos himself coming back in January.
Love it.
Is he actually coming back in January?
I think he's on the advertising for the Raw Netflix debut.
Oh my God.
So, like, even if it's just a one-off on that Raw, but he can call his own shots, and it benefits him to be all business for WWE. It's now he's that.
He's the start. He's on the board.
He's got that job on the board. It's like, it's not just a vanity thing. It's very much, if I'm good business and this is good business, that's double business, baby. Like, he doesn't get that at the cinema anymore, so it's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
Finally,
Jesus, more.
the big match tonight is the Wyatt Six versus Final Testament and their greatest member, arguably, The Miz.
I wish Final Testament could somehow eke out a win here. But
Kick the race, Carrion.
But they can't.
Come on.
They cannot. But it'd be amusing to me if somehow they did.
You know what else would be amusing?
Go
When
on.
they inevitably lose, Karrion Kross kicking the cat. That's too many, curtain noises. But kicking the cat, that is The Miz.
Yeah. Leaving
Really,
it.
really funny.
Like it's not going well. So Carrion just sort of like gathers AOP. Scream. Miz is left in the ring with the Wyatts. Just
Never beat me. You just beat The Miz. He was never
That's a
part
good
of Final
finish.
Testament.
It's a good finish. Then they could leave it with what of Karrion. I mean, no one's going to care. About this.
yeah, we will.
We care.
Yeah.
I'll have fun with it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. But unfortunately, it's obviously got a lot of factors around it with the history of both groups, particularly the Wyatt Six. It's
And they're quite a scary
unnerving.
group of guys and gals.
And actually, this feels like in talking about it, we've sort of it's gone a bit colder here in the studio,
Yes.
which means it's now time for the Raw Riddle.
God, that Raw Riddle gives me the creeps.
Get a smoke machine. Fog. Going in underneath.
Potentially the penultimate Raw Riddle ever.
Because we're desperate to retire this wildly unpopular feature.
Well, you say that. Give me a second. The Raw Riddle this week. Mary, let's just call her Mary, has 4 daughters, and each of her daughters has a brother. How many children does Mary have? That's Mary has 4 daughters, and each of her daughters has a brother. How many children does Mary have? Save that for tomorrow, don't you? Let me text you. Noggin.
Yeah, no.
Brian Weddig, he of the SmackDown Photoshop, of course, has emailed me another Raw riddle. Would you want to double down this week?
The second one.
Hey, I'll double dip.
Because I'll be honest, I wrote it down and then I saw Brian's email and I thought, well, let's do both.
More.
Brian, by the way, says, a Raw riddle if you're not too creeped out. Thank you, Brian.
God, sorry, Brian, give me the creeps.
A cowboy.
Anyone who likes to the SmackDown review too much gives me the creeps.
You're welcome on at any time, Sidge. Always a seat at the Odeon for you.
So, from Brian, this.
I got him a bit. He likes it a bit.
You'll have to confer, obviously, if you're on it tomorrow, you have to give him your thoughts.
Because the first one's pissy. You want that first
I don't
one?
get it.
You don't get that?
That's one of those where there can be multiple answers.
You have to have the answer I've written down.
Okay.
Yeah. Brian says, a cowboy, for the purposes of this riddle, let's call him Sheriff Punk. Sheriff Punk rides into town on Friday.
He's back. I told you to come back.
Well, Vision Cops, don't get too carried away. Sheriff Punk rides into town on Friday, stays 3 days, then leaves again on Friday. How did he do it?
Say that all again.
Sheriff Punk rides into town on Friday.
I got this one too.
He stays for 3 days and then leaves again on Friday? How did he do it? That's this week's Double Riddle.
Oh, God. Gives me the creeps.
The first Friday was Rampage, which was taped on a Tuesday. We did Thursday, Friday.
Leave your guesses and your thoughts on everything we discussed in the comments or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch there, you can follow all 3 of us. You can follow Michael Hamflet at
Michael Hamflet.
Follow Michael Sidgwick at
I'm Sidgwick.
Follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. As I said, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts, the SmackDown and Collision reviews available right now. And we'll be back tomorrow to review. But for now, this has been the Raw preview. My thanks to Hamflet Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.